audience for tonight's candidate forum. A few housekeeping things. If you've got cell phones, can you please make sure they're on vibrate or they're turned off? We will have a break so you can check emails at some point. I want to thank Sherry Turney and the staff of the Chamber for once again organizing this event, along with Alan and Lori Edmondson from the North Cass Herald, because they came up with the questions. Thank you very much for that, and Robin Nose Jewelry for being our timer. So the first piece of business is we're going to go and introduce each of the candidates that are before you, and then we'll get on to the question and answer period, okay? First, running for Ward 4, Sania Abdelgawad. Sania Abdelgawad has served on the Raymore City Council for 4 years. Sania holds 2 bachelor's degrees and a master's degree in education. Sania works as a teacher and instructional coach in the Belton School District. Sania, along with her husband, Ali, and their 3 children, Gabriel, Aaliyah, 2 children, okay, sorry. That new math is really hard for me, so. They've all, I went to Grandview, proud to be a Bulldog, so. But they have lived in the Raymore area for nearly 10 years. Sania volunteers in the Raymore schools and community. Sania is excited about continuing to serve on the Raymore City Council and is hoping to continue to bring a realistic view of what the citizens of Raymore want to City Hall. Sania Abdelgawad. Then we have Jay Holman, who's running for Ward 3. I have been a resident of the city of Raymore for the past 22 years and have been employed in the law enforcement profession for the past 26 years. I graduated from Northwest Missouri State University with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Political Science. I am a United States Air Force veteran and lifelong Missouri resident. I have been in service to the citizens of Raymore for approximately the last 10 years. I have spent the first 5.5 years on the Raymore Planning and Zoning Commission, the next 2 years on the Raymore Parks Board, and the last 2 years as a city council member for Ward 3. Jay Holman. Running for another term of mayor, I wanted to say president. This is going to be interesting tonight, guys, is Peter Kirchhoff. Peter Kirchhoff was born in Japan and raised in a number of gated communities, also known as Air Force bases. After graduating from college, Pete joined a startup in California as an engineer. Pete went on to obtain master's degrees in business and in technology. His experiences include working as an engineer, engineering manager, university professor, college dean, chief academic officer for a university, and a small business owner. Pete served on planning and zoning for 2 years, the city council for 5 years, and as mayor since 2012. Pete and Renee, his wife of 36 years, have lived in Raymore for over 20 years. Their daughters graduated from Ray Peck schools and Missouri colleges and now live in Missouri and Florida. Peter Kirchhoff. Running for mayor is Chief Christopher Turnbow, retired. Chris began his police career with the Raytown Police Department in 1975 after serving 4 years of active duty in the United States Navy. After over 21 years with Raytown and nearly 14 of those years as chief of police, he retired from there in 1996 and became a security manager for Hallmark Cards until June of 1999. He was then hired as the police chief of the city of Raymore, Missouri, and served in this capacity until his retirement on January 6, 2012. Chris now serves as the chair of Cass County Emergency Services Board, which oversees the 911 sales tax. Chris received his Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice in 1981 from Avila University and his MPA in Public Management from Park University in 2001. Chris is a graduate of the FBI National Academy, as well as the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Institute. He has held the office of president for the Missouri Police Chiefs Association, the Missouri Peace Officers Association, the Metropolitan Chiefs and Sheriffs Association, and the executive board of the Jackson County Drug Task Force. In 2013, he was inducted into the Raytown School District Hall of Fame. Chris and his wife, Vicki, reside in Raymore. He has 36 years of law enforcement experience with 26 years as a chief of police, while his while his entire Navy career covered a period of over 39 years, retiring in 2010 at the rank of captain. Christopher Turnbow. Running for Ward 2, we have Derek Moorhead. Derek is the current Raymore Mayor Pro Tem and City Councilman for Ward 2. Derek is an attorney with his office in Raymore. In addition, Derek is a lecturer at the Washburn University School of Law. Derek first moved to Silver Lake in 1973, and now his children attend the same Ray-Pec schools as he did. Derek is outspoken on the council. He is a fiscal conservative, and he believes that Raymore's future should focus on community growth and connectivity. Derek was an early supporter of the new Arts Commission and for a community center to bring us better together. Derek Moorhead. Lastly, we have Jeffrey Stevens running for Ward 1. Jeffrey is 61 years old. He's been married for 40 years, currently residing in Stonegate. His work life consists of work mostly in the engineering field, though some of his early work history involved work as a Ford dealership mechanic and police officer. He says, "My wife and I moved to Raymore in early 1990, where we bought our first new home. The move also marked my entry into politics by actively campaigning for John Ashcroft. Since that time, I've been involved in many campaigns from local to federal level and ultimately my own. I'm now running for my fourth term. Jeffrey Stevens." Again, thank you, gentlemen, for being here, gentlemen and ladies, for being here. We're going to start this by asking questions of our mayoral candidates. And unlike past events like this, we will not be asking questions of each of you city council men and women because you're unopposed. So we will give you time to use however you want, all right? So question one, we're going to start with Pete since you're the presiding mayor, then we're going to go back and forth like this, okay? Question one, why do you want to be mayor of the city of Raymore?
Well, I think I've done a fairly decent job the last 4 years, and I'd like to continue to do so. Raymore is poised for growth, and I think my ability as mayor will help us with the growth. So,
Perfect. I'll ask the same question of you.
Well, public service has always been a passion of mine, as you can tell by my previous career. I have prepared myself through that career in hopes of running for public office at some time in the future. And the future is now. I want to be the mayor of the city of Raymore because I believe that we are on a precipice of growth here. And there's a lot of opportunity for building of relationships, for me to be the spokesperson and the cheerleader for the city because the council's done a great job of preparing a lot of different strategic plans, especially as it relates to the planning for the roads and the parks with the bond issue that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And I think if that passes, that bond issue passes, much of the planning effort that went into the Reimagine Raymore plans will be accomplished, and it's going to be like a springboard forward for the progress of the city. And I would really like to be the ombudsman, the spokesperson for that and for the city.
Question number two, we'll start with Chris. What are some of the biggest challenges for Raymore during this time, and what role will you play to address these issues?
Well, a lot of the challenges that we're faced with is controlling this immense growth that's going to occur. The board has a strategic plan. We have a duty to follow that plan. We were able Monday night to get the results of that Reimagine Raymore planning effort, and a lot of things are on that list for the staff now to begin to prepare some of the planning efforts that the council will be looking at further and implementing. And so that challenge is there. The challenge, of course, is if the bond issue passes, is getting all those wonderful items built and in place so that the citizens of Raymore can enjoy them. That's another big challenge. And another big challenge is the North Cass Parkway. We have to somehow resolve the issues that are going on out there and take advantage of that location for the growth of this community. Light industry, commercial growth, some sit-down restaurants, as people have talked about, maybe not just there, but in all areas for development and redevelopment of our community.
Okay, perfect. Peter?
Challenges for Raymore. Organized growth. North Cass Parkway is a big challenge. We haven't had any development go on there yet, and that's poised for development. The Reimagine Raymore activity has shown us the way that the citizens would like to see growth in Raymore, and that's something I think we can do. But North Cass Parkway is probably the biggest challenge that we have.
Okay. Pete, we'll start with you for question number 3. What types of businesses and employers would you like to see come to Raymore? What do you think, if anything, needs to be done differently in this area?
Employers. Wow. Well, there's things like IT professions and stuff like that that could move to Raymore. That would be good. But realistically, though, well, I doubt that we're going to attract any like that. So we'll have to look at other employers like restaurants and that sort of thing. What sort of things could we do differently, did you say?
The second half of that question. Pardon me, the second half of that question was, what do you think, if anything, needs to be done differently in this area?
I can't think of anything that we should do differently.
Okay. Chris, same questions to you.
Could you repeat that?
Certainly. Question 3, what types of businesses and employers would you like to see come to Raymore? Number 2, what would you think, or what do you think, if anything, needs to be done different in this area?
Yeah, I would agree with the mayor. I think that there is an opportunity for some technical jobs to come to our community, some light industry. The I-49 corridor has been a key element to the growth of northern Cass County. With the designation of that as an interstate, it brings a lot of opportunities to Cass County, not just to Raymore, but to the entire region. And as we progress along and work with the city of Belton, with the commissioners at Cass County, we'll have an opportunity to look and see who is interested in Raymore. We're an extremely attractive community as a bedroom community right now. And with the Cerner project going in, there's a tremendous opportunity for us to coax many of those employees here to reside, for their other family members to work. And so I'm hoping for that economic growth that will occur here in Raymore with that light industry, commercial growth, restaurants, that they will seek us out and look at us as a viable location. We've got a tremendous school district. You can't beat our school district's top rated. I want to work more closely with the school district as well. They also have a dog in this fight with regard to economic development, because when economic development grows, they don't have to go back to the community for more bond issues as well. And that economic growth can serve us well in building upon our own infrastructure and a lot of the services that the city will provide to those folks.
Thank you, Chris. Question 4. This is the last question for you all. We'll start with Chris. How do you envision the new Arts Commission and other arts and cultural initiatives contributing to the overall identity of Raymore?
Yeah, you know, I think it's really important that the city has some cultural alternatives right here for not only just arts, but entertainment as well. The city has launched their bond issue plan to build an amphitheater that gives us an opportunity to bring in musicians and other artists, maybe even local artists that can show us their talents. As you see in the room tonight, we have some artistry on the wall that's being displayed by the Arts Commission that allows for local artists to display their items here. I'd like to see that occur in other businesses like the banks here, the grocery stores, the other industries that are here in the Raymore area that could take advantage of that and show the talents of the folks that live and work here in Raymore. So the Arts Commission is very important to me. I know it's a passion of Derek's and other members of the board here, and I fully support that, and I hope to continue those efforts and see how that they can flourish further, what kind of assistance the city can provide initially, but then hope that they can get into maybe supporting themselves later on down the road once they've launched and become successful in their efforts.
Sure. Pete, same question to you.
Would you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. How do you envision the new Arts Commission and other arts and culture initiatives contributing to the overall identity of Raymore?
Overall identity of Raymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Raymore has got a number of talented individuals in it. And the Arts Commission is a way for these individuals to exhibit these talents.
Okay. Thank you. So so the city council member, the four of you, I guess a good question to ask as part of your 3 minutes is, why are you seeking another term as city council member? And then you could respond to any of these questions that were asked. If you've got some input on those, then certainly we would welcome that. Otherwise, you can use the 3 minutes however you'd like, and we'll start with Sonia.
Thank you. To answer the question you just asked, why am I seeking another term on the city council? I've been on the city council for 4 years and ran once before that. It's been, I won't lie, it's been challenging, but so enjoyable. I'm an educator, and so I love learning, I love teaching, I love learning, and this is a perfect opportunity for me to give back to the community. I love to take advantage of the opportunity to inform citizens about things that are happening in Raymore, things that are happening in the city, the amenities we have, as well as I love learning. Oh my gosh, I've learned so much about what happens in the city that people who live here have no idea, you know, what the city really does to provide for you on a daily basis to make this such a great place to live. So why do I want to run for another term? Why do I want to do this job again? Because I really do enjoy it. And besides that, I love being able to set an example for my children and for others in the community of being an upstanding citizen, being honest, and telling people what's going on and showing my kids how important it is to participate in your community and also give back. A few other things just to answer some of the questions that were posed to the mayoral candidates. Some of the challenges we face in Raymore right now, as they said, I have to agree, development, planned growth. One of the things that they didn't mention that I think the city has kind of kept its thumb on is maintenance as we're growing, and we heard so much from the citizens in Raymore that they're happy. People in Raymore are happy with where we live and what's going on in the city, and as the leaders of the city and as city staff, we have to keep an eye on maintaining what we have. You know, we can't get so excited about that growth and bringing new that we forget to maintain what we have, our streets, our parks, our, you know, all the underground stuff that we have to take care of. As far as obstacles and the Arts Commission, one of the big things that we heard from the community when we did the Reimagine Raymore meetings was forming an identity. And that's something, actually, as a council, we've talked about for several years. but the question is, what do we want it to be? And so it was great to hear from the citizens because they gave us some ideas of what they want that identity to be. And I think that the businesses we bring, the jobs we bring, the bonus that we're going to get from the Arts Commission and the things that they're planning, those are the things that are going to help us form that identity and continue to make Raymore a great place for people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jay Holman.
Thank you, sir. To your really sole question of why I want to be on City Council, finishing up my first term of 2 years, and to take Chief Turnbow's point a little bit further, he mentioned that we are on the precipice of economic growth. I would certainly agree, but I will take it further, as I have on the record a number of times. I believe Raymore is on the precipice of a renaissance, unseen since 2 other times in our history, back to the days of the railroad when the town first formed in the mid-1800s, and then what we saw again in the late 90s and early 2000s with both the economic and housing boom that really has transformed our city from a town of about 3,000 or 4,000 to a city of 20,000 that is challenging the cities around it. I want to be part of that. It's an exciting time to be here. I've also realized, I think I knew it deep down, but it's really been cemented in my mind that our greatest asset here in the city are those 20,000 people. We have the friendliest, finest people around that really care about what's going on. They've moved here for a number of reasons. They moved here for affordable housing, good housing. They've moved here for schools, and everybody wants basically the same things. We see different ways of going about it, but we want to make our lives and the lives of our children better, and that's why I want to be here. I'm going to take a little bit different approach on the last few minutes that I have here. Just a couple of things. I think if you bottom line this, what did we accomplish during my first term, and what do I hope to accomplish in my second term, assuming that the elusive Mickey Mouse does not beat me as a write-in candidate? I think our greatest accomplishment during my first term as city council was hiring Mr. Fearborn. As you may remember, Mr. Berlin was city manager when I came on board, left shortly thereafter to take a job with North Kansas City. Mr. Fearborn was hired by us, and I don't think we could have found a better individual with more unique qualifications that is more suited to lead the city into the future. He's a fine individual. I will stand behind anything and everything that he does. We are very, very lucky to have Mr. Fearborn as our city manager, and I think that was our greatest accomplishment. The next one may surprise people a little bit, and that is the purchase of the striping machine for the city. Yeah, people are laughing. They've heard this before. And our recent purchase, or about to make the purchase of the cement mixer and mud jacking equipment. That represents a cultural change among, I think, a little bit, or enhancement of a cultural change among the Public Works Department. A striping machine seems fairly boring. Okay, the city council bought a striping machine. But when you're driving in a driving rainstorm at 11 o'clock at night and it's dark, you appreciate that piece of equipment. And the fact that our people can now do that, whereas we used to have that done by contractors. Accelerating the improvements at TB Hanna Station, the depot, and those kind of things. And then what I hope to do in the next term, focus on 4 things: transportation, economic development, parks and recs amenities, and police and safety, as all of those things were identified by the community conversation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Holman. Mr. Moorhead.
This is my 4th forum, and every time I do this, I think I grow just a little more humble and honored to serve. I guess I am actually in the seat I normally sit in. But this last year has been such a wonderful experience because we really came together as a team of 9. And that's not always something that we've had in the past here in the city. And the resulting product of that may not always be felt on a day-to-day meeting when we're talking about bond refunds or bid contracts on fences and things of that sort. But we've had some wonderful successes over this last year that really manifested in a direction for this city. And, you know, I'm honored to serve with such a quiet giant, which is Jay Holman, because, I mean, the words that he said to you are really true. You know, part of our greatest success was we have wonderful staff. You know, we technically don't accomplish anything other than just guide policy and oversee things. The hiring of Mr. Fearborn is by far one of the strongest things that we've done over the last year, as well as seeing some new staff and some new leadership kind of grow from that. And so I'm very appreciative to be able to share in all of that and the accomplishments that we've had, which then culminated in reaching out more into the community and developing this Reimagine Raymore. And the bond issue has kind of come from that, and we had people notice that the council had already kind of identified a lot of the things the citizens were already connecting with, and the value of that is because we try to work very hard to communicate with you, and I hope to continue to do that. That's the greatest fun I have of all, is being stopped in Price Chopper and having people talk to me about what's going on with the city. My wife hates it because then she has to do all the shopping and then catches me on the way out. But we'll only make this promise. We are on a precipice a little bit, because next year, in the coming years, we've set in motion, again, one of the largest development projects since the charter of this city. And it's important. It was great to come up with the idea, but now we have to implement it. And we've had a wonderful team on this dais that has been able to accomplish things that I think we can continue to do. I really resonate with Chris Turnbow's comment, controlled growth, though. You know, it's great to have ideas, but we have been successful because we have taken the right steps, taken steps, evaluated. We don't take risks that are not calculated, and I hope that we can continue to do that. I see I'm already pressed for time, but the one thing I want to stress, though, of these projects that please keep in mind, we're not asking you to patronize a store or to attend something. The projects, if you look at it, have one commonality, and that is you're going to touch your city. You and your kids are going to play in the parks. I'll wrap up, just finish the sentence. You will play in the parks, you will drive on the streets, you will do things that don't take money directly out of your pocket, but you will participate with your city. And that's what we really want to see you do, is enjoy your city more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Derek. Finally, Jeff Stevens.
Thank you, sir. Your first question, why I'm running for office. Politics is something I've always kind of been interested in, and as you mentioned earlier, I've gone through and helped a lot of people campaign for office, and ultimately my own. So that's kind of the reason I've run. I'm kind of a meat and potatoes guy. Things like streets, curbs, sidewalks, keeping all of our infrastructure maintained, basic services, economic growth is kind of where my interests lie. I feel like I brought a lot of things to Ward 1. Things like sidewalks for safe passage to school down Stonegate, stormwater surveys, getting rid of excise tax for small business, parking lot and ordinances to keep their parking lots in good shape. And I think that's about it. And the last thing is just get out and vote.
That's absolutely right. Please get out and vote. We've been very efficient tonight, and so I'm going to do a little audible here, and I'm going to give each of you a chance to make a statement as to why you would like the voters to turn out for you. And we'll start with Chris, and we're going to give Mayor Kirchhoff the last word.
Okay. Thank you, Brent. First, I'd like to thank the Raymore Chamber for sponsoring this event, and thank you for moderating, and Robin keeping us on time here. You know, when I retired in 2012, I promised my wife that I'd take a year off. Well, I've taken 4 years off, basically, from public service, at least on a full-time capacity, and gather my thoughts. And frankly, the fire in my belly had dwindled a little bit, but it's back. I've watched the city grow. I've watched national politics flounder, and I want to keep our government stable. I want to keep our growth moving forward. And I think that the leadership that I bring to it, from my past experiences, my education, everything that I've done to prepare for this position, I don't think I could have done any better than what I've done. And I believe I can be the cheerleader for the community. I don't have a vote on this council if I'm elected, but I do know how to work as a team, and I know how to be a leader. I think I've shown that through the positions that I've held in the past. And if you were happy with me as police chief, I think you'll be even more happy with me as mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Mayor Kirchhoff.
Well, thinking back when I first became mayor, one of the things I said that I would do is help the council focus on the things that would make Raymore better rather than infighting. And in the 4 years that I've been mayor, that's what our focus has been, and we've accomplished a lot. And I think the council has done a wonderful job focusing on the things that make Raymore good and great, rather than the little petty things that council members tend to argue about. Moving forward, I think it's important that we can continue with that. The council focus on making Raymore better. And I think they can do that.
Thank you very much, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to take a 10-minute break, all right, so we can have a chance to get the new nameplates up here. So if we can be mindful of that and be back in here in 10 minutes, and we'll get started on round 2. Thank you. Tonight. So, but before we get started with the questions, if we can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance Thank you. One other side note, we want to make sure that we give a shout out to Affordable Elegance for the wonderful snacks that we have out in the lobby. They are kind enough to provide those every year, and of course they're delicious. So we're going to start off just like we did with the last portion of this, the city council and mayoral candidates, and we're going to read an introduction for each of you. And then we have questions, and we'll do kind of a round robin thing so everybody doesn't have to end last or start first, okay? So we'll start with Leo Anderson. My wife, Franchetta, and I have lived in Raymore for 14 years. We have one child, William, who proudly will be joining the Air Force. He graduated from Raymore Peculiar in 2015. I attended the University of Missouri-Columbia for electrical engineering and also attended the University of Central Missouri for computer information systems. I've done research and development for Sprint, consulting work in Hong Kong, and currently a principal engineer with AT&T, working on the UVerse and DirecTV Next Generation platform. I've been very active in the community. In addition to serving the Raymore Peculiar School Board for 6 years, 2 of which have been as the board president, I'm serving as a commissioner on the Raymore Planning and Zoning Commission, board member of the Sunrise Optimist Club, Metropolitan Community College's Computer Information Advisory Board, Raymore Peculiar Education Foundation Board, and the AT&T Community Network Executive Board. Formerly, I've served on the board of Hope Haven, Cass County, and the Raymore Peculiar Athletic Booster Club. As a result, my background, my commitment to Raymore qualifies to be re-elected to the Raymore Peculiar School Board. Leo Anderson. Next, we have Joe Anthius. We moved to Raymore in 1994 from South Kansas City. Chose Raymore because of the school district's reputation, safety of the city, and the small town atmosphere. Renee and I have 2 wonderful children, Maddie and Mason. Maddie is a senior and is on the Prowler dance team, and Mason is a sophomore and is on the football and golf teams. I attended Truman State University. I work for the American Academy of Family Physicians since 1983 as Director of Administration. Facilities management, property management, real estate management are my areas of responsibility. I like to spend time with my family, and I'm a big Chiefs and Royals fan. My community involvement has included board service and community involvement with the Raymore Peculiar School District, the Board of Education for 12 years, served as president for 2 years, cooperating school districts of Greater Kansas City. I'm a past board member of the Boy Scout, is that the Boy Scouts? Okay, past board member for 4 years of Boy Scouts of America Troop 30. I'm a committee member of Kansas City Big 12 Organizing Committee and past executive committee chairman and current member of International Facilities Management Association. I'm a professional member and board member of the Kansas City IFMA chapter, a professional member, current professional member and past chapter president of the Raymore Fun Fest Committee, past member for 6 years, and Leawood Chamber of Commerce. Joe Anthius. Kim Bailey. Kim is a former college administrator with specialized training in policy writing, legislative compliance, Title IX issues, disciplinary policies, disabilities, legal ethical concerns, diversity issues, trauma, and the mental health of students. She has 3 children in the district and have been a resident for over 14 years. She has served as PTA president for multiple years at the Ray-Pec Intermediate School, right, and Eagle Glen. She is currently the president of the Athletic Booster Club at the high school and serves on the Citizens Advisory Committee. She believes her training and accumulated experiences could be very useful in serving on the board. Kim Bailey. We have Patrick Clark. Patrick enjoys a 21-year marriage, giving them 2 girls in 3rd and 9th grades. His wife graduated from Ray-Pec, and the school district was central to their decision to move here 7 years ago. Patrick was director of a county historic museum where he served as Chamber of Commerce president, receiving 2 keys to the city for his work. He is self-employed in offices in Raymore for 9 years. When elected, he will ensure children have a safe and encouraging environment, confirm teachers have necessary tools for the classroom, and represent parents to the board. He will critically review current grading scheme, curricula, and nutrition program. He wants to examine academic, fine arts, and sports funding arrangements. Patrick Clark. Susan Edmondson. Susan Edmondson has lived in Cass County since 1989. She graduated from Belton High School in 1993. She married Jeff in 1994 and has 2 boys, Kevin and Jacob. They moved to Raymore in 2005 to raise their boys in a school district with excellent academics. In 2002, Susan received her Bachelor of Science in Accounting from UMKC. Susan is a member of First Baptist Church in Raymore, where she has served on the Finance Committee, volunteers in the children's areas, and coordinates dedication activities. She took the lead to organize the pasta dinners for Ray-Pec football team. Susan Edmondson. And finally, we have Lane Lucas. Lane is a 1979 Raymore Peculiar graduate. He is a communications, public relations, and marketing professional with over 20 years of experience, including serving as public relations coordinator for the Grandview C4 School District from 2006 to 2013. He received his Bachelor of Arts in Communications from Avila University in 1984. Currently, he works as the communications consultant for the Grandview Chamber of Commerce. He and his wife, Melinda, have been proud and dedicated residents and business owners, Dogs R Us Grooming Salon and Willow Wind Shopping Center, since 2005. Their children, Brendan and Haley, are students in the Ray-Pec School District. Lane Lucas. All right, so we have 4 questions. I think we'll start off with Kim, and we'll work our way this way for question number 1. Why do you want to lead the Raymore Peculiar Public School District as a school board member? Kim.
To piggyback off of what some of the mayors.
Hang on. You might want to turn your microphone on.
Oh,
Is it on?
my green light. Do I just need? Is that better?
That's better.
Okay.
Go ahead and start over.
To piggyback off of what the mayor candidates mentioned is I feel like our city is at a precipice of just great opportunities. And I feel like I'm uniquely qualified in a lot of areas to just really help move everything on to the next level. I love this community. I've been, by virtue of all of my things that I've been involved with, I really want to make everything better and just do it in quality with excellence. And I feel that the board has really started that in motion, and I would like to be a part of that to continue that.
Thank you, Kim. Joe?
There we go. How's that? Thanks, everybody, for coming tonight. Hopefully, we'll keep you here long enough for the rain to stop. But I want to be elected to the school board again, what would be my 5th time, to continue the great things that the school board's been doing. For my 12 years I've been on the board, the district's just grown and improved and is, I would say, the best district in the greater Kansas City area. We've got a lot of important initiatives coming up, the bond issue and our long-range planning, our technology. It's a lot of good things going on, and I want to be there to support our kids and our community and make this district even better.
Thank you. Leo?
Brent, good evening. How are you?
Good.
4 years ago, actually in 2010, when I was first elected to the board, I made 4 promises. I promised that I want to focus on family. We did that with the Watchdogs program, which actually I was one of the original members at their middle school. We improved staff and teacher development to make sure that we focus on the families, make sure that we communicate effectively with the families. Secondly, we had the strategic plan. We adopted the first time a comprehensive school strategic plan in 2011. Third, I wanted to focus on growth initiatives as well. As you know, as Joe had mentioned, that we are a no tax increase bond issue that's coming up, doubling our instructional school space, new high school, et cetera. And then fourth was the transparency. So the first time we have a district scorecard. So not only are we expecting the kids to see how we're doing, but as a district, we are focusing on, through the community, let them know that how we're functioning as a district. And also from recording for the first time our school board meetings. So again, in 2010, I made those 4 promises, and in 2016, I want to make 4 more promises, that being focusing on school security, focusing on local control, focusing on student growth and achievement, and also focus on a strategic communication plan.
Thank you, Leo. Lane?
Well, first of all, I just genuinely care. I mean, I graduated from here in '79 when the community was basically a kind of a wide spot in the road, but we did have a hearty and good district at that time. Since that time, I came back in 2005 with my family because of the reputation of the community and the district. And I know that the district and the community is slated to keep growing at a tremendous pace, and that's a wonderful thing. But with that comes a lot of challenges, some foreseen, some unforeseen. And I really think my qualifications, especially being a 7-year veteran of another school district and my communications experience, I think I can really be a vital hand in meeting those challenges and helping the district go forward in a positive manner.
Thank you, Lane. Susan?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. The question is, why do you want to lead the Raymore Peculiar Public School District as a school board member?
To kind of piggyback off the council, we are in a unique situation with growth, and I would like to be able to work with the city on growth because our schools do make a huge difference in our cities. If we have good schools and the city continues to grow because of those good schools, that's one reason we chose to move to Ray-Pec is because of the schools and the opportunities that it gave to our boys. If the bond issue is another issue of mine, it will help with safety of the kids, classroom sizes. It will help shrink those down so the kids will have more one-on-one with their teachers. And we need to keep, as long as the city and the school continues to grow, we need to make sure we keep those buildings in good condition and that the teachers have their resources to keep the classrooms sizes manageable and the teachers have adequate resources. And the success of the students is very important to me also, as far as their learning the grading systems we have in place and the teaching styles and the teaching curriculum that we have for the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. And finally, Patrick.
Thank you, Brent. I appreciate that question, and I tell you that I would like to be on the school board representing the parents out there, representing district residents out there, helping them feel like they have a sense of a voice. We all pay taxes, and I've done a lot of door knocking, like a lot of my friends up here, and when they say, you know what, I don't have any kids in the school district, thank you very much. I said, well, but you're paying in taxes. And I said, that's very important. You know, you have a voice. I'm running for school board because I'd like to be a voice of people. I feel I have something to contribute with my past experience with nonprofit boards and fundraising. I have a quiet but effective management style with a lot of fundraising experience and financial review. That's certainly a component of this. But I believe, like most of us up here, that it's the kids, the why we're here. We all want to contribute in some way, and I think all of us in our communities need to do that, whether it's a church board or school board or a park board. This was something that I was asked to consider. We did. The school district, I have to say, is why we moved here from north of St. Joseph. The quality of education. That's exciting. What Raymore is doing, particularly with the Reimagine Raymore program, that's definitely something that's exciting. It's moving forward. It's taking action. It's not just reacting. It's planning and developing. And that's what I feel I have to offer with my past experience, is a passion for empowering the administration and teachers with the tools they need to help teach our kids.
Thank you, Patrick. Mm-hmm. Question 2, how about if we start with Joe, and we'll just work our way around, finish with Kim. Question 2, although it might happen away from the school, online bullying and harassment can have negative influence on the classroom. What role do you feel the school district should play when it comes to bullying and harassment of students? Joe.
Thank you. It is an issue, and it's not just in our district. It's citywide, it's nationwide. And with social media and the different media outlets that kids have these days, it's beyond just face-to-face bullying. And so we need to do whatever we can within our walls of the district to try to prevent that. You know, our teachers are trained. The kids have their own campaign that says if you see it, stop it or report it. We have a new anonymous phone line, hotline that kids and parents can call when they see bullying. But it's an issue that we're aware of as a board, and our administration is very aware of it, and it's at a critical point where we need to address it and try to minimize it as much as possible.
Thanks, Joe. Leo.
This subject is somewhat difficult for me because my son, William, who did graduate last year, experienced bullying. And as a parent, you feel hopeless because when your son says that, you know, if you say something, you're going to make it worse. And regardless, you know, if you're a dad or if you have a school board title behind your name, it's really limited to what you can do. Bullying is an issue. Bullying is a learned behavior. Yes, we can teach in terms of, from a peer standpoint, that it is not acceptable. Yes, from a board standpoint, we can say we have a zero tolerance, but there is a parental component in that. So we have a priority 1 for the next school year's budget is to have a positive school culture, which has a parental component in that. And we made that priority 1 in terms of within this school district, we will not allow that. But again, we need to educate our kids. We focused a lot on the physical infrastructure, that being mitigating any type of outside forces, but inside, in terms of the peer pressure, the peer behavior, it's tough. And so we have to, as a community, we've seen a lot as a community as part of the school district. We as a community need to come together and address this problem as well, and make sure that the parents are involved and the parents will help mitigate the issue as well. Thank you, Brett.
Thank you, Leo. Lane.
Well, this is it's a huge issue, and not just here at this district, but in districts across the nation and probably in the community, especially with the social media and web and other methods that people use to bully. The school district has got to be a vital component of this, because I would venture to guess that most likely they have our kids under their wing more than they are at our own home. And so they are kind of first on the battlefield, as it were, to see these actions. So they've got to have a proactive approach to it and effective policies. But those have got to be communicated, and they've got to be interconnected with the parents and the staff on an effective basis. My experience thus far, personally with my own child, was that there was a bullying incident, but I was severely disappointed in the procedures in which the district, handled it. It was full of ambiguity. It was not consistent. I think we cannot ignore that. We're a good district, but we can't have a bunker mentality on this. We've got to be proactive, and we've got to work hand in hand with the parents, and we've got to communicate with them. We've got to build that relationship with the students, the staff, and the parents, bring in the educational component, and we've all got to work together to handle this serious issue.
Thank you, Lane. Susan.
I do believe bullying is an issue in the district. We need to develop comprehensive policy and follow through with those, and make sure we do educate the parents and the students. My son Kevin happens to be on the student leadership team at the high school, and they go to the middle schools, or the middle school, and teach the kids about bullying and how it really affects somebody, even if it's just something minimal. Saying hello or smiling at them may make their whole day, may change their whole day. And I would like to expand that to the elementary schools, and not just do it in the middle school, because bullying starts in the middle schools. Whether it's on the media or if it's at home, most of the time bullying stops at home. But now with social media, with Facebook and Twitter and whatever else is out there, it doesn't stop at home always. It does continue on. And the school district needs to put some policies in place and follow through with them and be consistent with every incident and really follow through with the decisions that they make. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Patrick.
Brent, could you repeat the question?
Certainly. Question 2. Although it might happen away from the school, online bullying and harassment can have negative influence on the classroom. What role do you feel the school district should play when it comes to bullying and harassment of students?
Well, the role that the school district has with reference to bullying or online harassment, the school district has policies and procedures in place. My main question would be, are they relevant? Are they reviewed? Are they followed? Are they applied evenly between staff and students? That's a concern of mine. I've got to tell you that it is a problem because it happens. It's not an epidemic. There's nothing wrong with Raymore. Very proud of the Ray-Pec School District, very proud of our community. But the online bullying goes beyond school, and we all know that. It extends to the homes, communities. 3 things we've got to keep aware about is awareness of online bullying. We have to admit that it exists. Number 2, we have to identify what it is. Are we working with the kids enough in the schools and getting information to the parents for them to be able to identify it, recognize when they're a victim, recognize when they are the bully? And 3 is action. When elected, I will see that the action is followed through by the policies and procedures by the Ray-Pec School District with review, keeping that current. We have to change as technology changes. School district is certainly a major component of that. Parents need to be involved with this as well. And when our daughters had an issue with this years ago, we used the system. We went to the teacher, we went to the counselor, went to the principal. That's how you take care of things. You let the teachers do their job, let them follow through with their training, involve the principal in the matter. They know the personalities of the kids there. So policies and procedures as the district has in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. And finally, Kim.
As a therapist, about 50% of my clients are students, and so clearly dealing with the concept of bullying is something I deal with consistently. So have a lot of information on how to help students who are in the process of that, so I'd love to bring that to the district. In addition to that, as a former policy writer, I know that policy writing is very complicated, especially when it comes to bullying, because you're dealing with various rights that we have in our Constitution. So you have freedom of speech, and you have innocent until proven guilty. And so trying to navigate this, sometimes it puts the school district in an awkward position because they're wanting us to make decisions based on the preponderance of the evidence, i.e. guilty until proven innocent, which goes against our constitutional rights, or that they are just wanting us to get people in trouble when really they have the freedom of speech. So they've implemented the hate crimes, and so, but that only covers certain areas. It only covers sexual orientation, gender, race, and disability. So if you say something mean around something else, our law system does not cover that. So our policies have to be well written in order to keep our district safe from lawsuit, depending on which way we make our decisions. So I think we have to have good policies. In addition to that, we need to be proactive. I think we have been, but be proactive in setting up education to help students understand what bullying is. There's three kinds. You've got physical bullying, you've got verbal bullying, and then you've got emotional. And trying to define emotional is a very complicated process, but I think it's important. And then as far as the social media, I think no one is fully responsible for that. People are trying to make the schools fully responsible, or the parents. Some states are trying to make the parents fully responsible. But I think it's a combination of school, parents, government, policymakers, as well as Facebook, these media sites taking some responsibility for that as well.
Thank you, Kim. Somebody else doesn't like bullying either, so. Question 3, we're going to start with Leo, just kind of in this fashion of going around the circle. Question 3, a recent statistic indicated that 6 out of every 10 students in the Raymore Peculiar School District have used drugs. What will you do as a school board member to help staff and leadership as the school addresses this issue? Leo.
Thank you, Brent. We as a board, we've talked about this quite a bit. And again, we've talked about through policy, how can we mitigate the drugs that are happening within our schools. The day and age that we live in now is a lot different. That being having drugs that we know, then you have the synthetic drugs that's going on as well, even to the e-cigarettes that's happening right now. So we need to be very forceful through policy, and personally I think we need to have a zero tolerance program in that regard as well. So, and again, I always go back, there is a parental component to this. So we need to make sure that 1 is not acceptable. 2, I think the parents need to be held accountable as well. But I'll go along and say, typically there's, again, a story behind the story. You know, what's happening with these kids that are using drugs, there's typically a component or something that's happening at home. So we, in terms of some type of counseling that we need to have, there need to be a counseling component as well. So we need to make sure that we look at it holistically, not just punishing the kids, but we need to make sure that we follow up with the parents, follow up with the kids, and making sure that, you know, the reasoning that's happening. And again, there's a delineation between how much do we educate our kids and how much are we responsible in terms of personal responsibility. So we need to make sure that we communicate that plan to the parents up front through policy, through administration, to make sure that, you know, these are what's acceptable and these are what's not acceptable.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Brett.
Lane.
Well, this is a very serious issue, and it's, again, like the bullying, it's nationwide. It's in every district. It doesn't matter what level the district is or what economic level. It's there, and the kids can get it. I know my own son has told me more than once his knowledge of kids who have access to or have had drugs on campus, as it were. So it exists. Again, we've got to get out of the bunker mentality, and we've got to hit this head on. We've got to have a strong education program for it. We've got to talk directly to the parents. We can't mince words about it. Maybe perhaps we need more SRO officers available or more of a presence to let kids know this is unacceptable. But with that, we've got to have a zero tolerance policy, and we've got to enforce it effectively. It's got to be consistent, no ambiguity. We've got to hit it head on so that our students know that this is absolutely unacceptable. It's not a good thing to do, not only for their health, but for their education. It disrupts the classrooms and the whole realm of the school world. So we've got to hit it straight on.
Thank you, Lane. Susan?
I too believe that we do have a drug problem at the high school. It may be at the middle school too, but I've only heard of the high school since my son goes there. One thing that I'd like to do is expand the DARE program from K through 12th grade. You've got to start it young. You've got to be open about it. You've got to start the conversation young, because if these kids are exposed to it at home, they're going to see it at a young age. And then when they get older, they're going to think, oh, this is cool, let's try it. Well, then you just keep the cycle going. So we've got to have things in place that the kids can learn that they can break the cycle. And we've got to be able to have our staff and teachers and even administrators open to these kids that do have that issue at home, so they can help them break that cycle. The passing between the two high schools, the bond issue passes, the passing won't be an issue, because I've heard students say that's where the biggest issue happens, at school during school hours, and that's not acceptable for that to happen during school. It's not acceptable to happen after school. The kids come to school, they've probably done drugs before they come to school. They can't learn that way. We've got to address the issue and not just keep sweeping things under the rug. We've got to have clear policies and follow through with those. One thing I would like to see on the board when I get elected to the school board is testing of athletes. I believe that there's probably more athletes that use the drugs than just your normal everyday student. So I would like to see that implemented when I'm elected to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Patrick?
Brent, could you repeat the question?
Certainly. Question 3. A recent statistic indicated that 6 out of every 10 students in the Raymore Peculiar School District have used drugs. What will you do as a school board member to help staff and leadership as the schools address this issue?
Thank you. Related to what I had said earlier, there are some main points. Awareness, not just with children in the school district, at schools, by the programs, and I know the district has a wonderful number of programs that they take the kids through in assemblies, but also working with the parents and the community as a whole. The school district has an excellent working relationship with the city at various levels, encouraging that. Often the schools working with city officials, they can get a better sense of what issues are arising that they need to address. Awareness. Number 2, again, is identifying when a problem arises. And if you have a student, a staff member of the district, or teacher, or support staff, that is facing a problem, well then number 3, there's an action, okay, stated through the policies and procedures. And then constant review. Is it effective? Is it working? Is it relevant? Do we need to make changes? Keep in mind, prescription drugs in particular are easily available for a lot of kids. And if they're at home on their own, maybe the pressure to exceed or excel in sports or certain academic or extracurricular activities, sometimes someone starts thinking about things like that, or they learn something online and make some poor decisions. I've got to tell you, in the first grade, I was in the bathroom stall and got up on the bars and twiddled my feet in the air and got down, and the teacher didn't like that and gave me a paddling. And I never got a paddling again in school. It was for that one instance. I didn't think it was too bad. Main point is there were consequences for the actions. And if the children understand that, they know that if they get caught, if they engage in that activity on school grounds, there are consequences.
Thank you, Patrick. Kim?
I think I don't think we have a larger problem in RAPEC than is what is typical across the nation. Unfortunately, we do have drug issues in our nation. Through a mental health lens, this is the most fragile generation that we've had ever. Suicide rates of college freshmen are at all-time high. So what you have to be able to distinguish is, are they using the drug for recreation, are they abusing it, or are they addicted to it? And depending on where they're at, you will need to apply different things, different levels of help. Typically, people who are abusing or are addicted to it are because of poor home life or just trauma, things like that. So I think it's important that our policy has some breadth and some depth, as well as bringing in more education around that. But the number one treatment for drug abuse or drug addiction is connection. And so going with trying to get ahead of our growth, getting more teachers, getting more faculty, getting more staff, so there can be better connections with the students and you don't have a 1-to-30 ratio, can also help in not allowing some of these children to fall through the cracks. So being relational focused, getting in front of those, I agree with getting to them younger and younger. Would be very beneficial. I like the idea of getting involved at the elementary ages.
Thank you, Kim. And finally, Joe.
Thanks, Brent. I agree with everything everybody has said. You know, it's educating our kids and our parents and our community. You know, the problem with prescription drugs and opioids and painkillers, that's a lot of access these kids have, and so we need to teach the parents, you know, to lock those things up, and the community, and have the prescription drug disposal areas. I think Raymore's doing one here soon. You know, it's enforcing our policies and making sure they're up to date and enforcing them. Enhancing our DARE program. There's a new program that a lot of the districts in the city are developing and implementing. It's kind of a TIPS hotline, Crime Stopper kind of thing. If a kid knows there's another kid using drugs, there's a way for him to kind of report that, to get that kid help, not to get him in trouble, but just to educate the people who maybe that's doing it. I would disagree with Susan. I think your stat of 6 out of 10, it's not more of those 6 are athletes or not. I think it's any kid based upon what their circumstances are. But I agree that just educating our staff and our parents and our community.
Thank you, Joe. Final question. So we'll start with Lane and just work our way to the end of Leo, okay? Lane, question 4. In some districts, the majority of financial resources and staff attention are dedicated to those students who are high achievers. How will you strike a balance to ensure that all learning levels receive the resources and attention they need?
Well, that's a huge, huge topic, and that touches many levels. One of those strikes a chord with me most recently with the district is what I feel is a really unproportionate alignment for the high school curriculum to the IB program, which costs thousands of dollars. Could well cost, once it's implemented, over $100,000, and it ends up benefiting a very few students. In fact, when the first graduating class comes about, it'll be probably less than 30 students. So you've got to balance that money, because remember, we are supposed to be, our highest job as a board and as a district is to improve achievement for each and every student. That means everybody. So we have got to have a balance for every child, from the learning disability student to the, quote, high achiever. So we have got to look at that very carefully, and we have our duty, our sole duty, is to make sure that we have an even balance of achievement resources and help for each and every student. So we've got to look at that and look at where we're spending our money and our time, where our policies are geared to, where our curriculum is geared to, and we've got to make sure that's evenly dispersed and we're helping all students.
Thank you, Lane. Susan.
Can you repeat the question?
Certainly. In some districts, the majority of financial resources and staff attention are dedicated to those students who are high achievers. How will you strike a balance to ensure that all learning levels receive the resources and attention they need?
I happen to have 2 boys who are on total opposite ends, as they say, of the spectrum. I have one that's taken dual credit college classes and AP classes. I have one that had issues with reading. So as a parent, I've had to balance those. And it's great to have both kids. and I love my boys, but we do have to seek an even balance. As far as curriculum, we have to have more reading interventionists. As talking with parents, talking with teachers, there is not enough reading interventionists. And who's to say that kid that struggles with reading, he may find his niche or her niche, and once he really learns to read well, they could take off and be that high achiever. We don't know, but we've got to find some more reading interventionists and math tutors to catch these kids early. And like Lane said, we have the IB program, but there's not a lot of kids. There's not a lot of participation in it. And we already had offered the advanced placement classes, the AP classes, where the kids can test and possibly get college credit for. We also offer the dual credit classes where they get high school credit for and also college credit for. Yes, the parents have to pay tuition. We have done it, but there is also the financial aid out there that you can get for those dual credit classes. So we already offered those two, and then we put the IB program in, and it gets kind of mixed up, and then the kids are kind of confused as to what they really need to strive for. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Patrick. Certainly. In some districts, the majority of financial resources and staff attention are dedicated to those students who are high achievers. How will you strike a balance to ensure that all learning levels receive the resources and attention they need?
That's exactly one thing I'm very concerned about, is that utilization of resources to all levels, the different age groups, in particular academic, nutrition, sports, fine arts programs, the funding formulas that are used in getting the money down to these different levels. There are good role models out there, and there's some that may be not as effective. We've got a lot of finances going to some sports programs, but at the high school level, we don't really need to put so much into a sport program because we're not in competition, high schools to high school. Now, yeah, there is some friendly competition, but it's not used to acquire new students. Let's use the finances to benefit most of the students that are in band, choir, theater, drama, debate, a lot of these other types of programs. So I would be interested in that. And you say a majority or some school districts, I don't see that too much in Ray-Pec, though, about high achievers. There is a focus on some academic achievements. There is the A+ program, the AP classes, the IB program as well. We can overdo it sometimes as parents, and we're talking about some of the things that the kids are forced to deal with, and stress and other issues. What can we do as parents to encourage them to concentrate on school, keep their focus on their activities, being a good, responsible person in the community, and let's review the funding and go from there.
Thank you, Patrick. Kim.
I'm not sure that I see that playing out in Ray-Pec as well. I think one of the biggest problems of Ray-Pec is we have grown so fast, but our economic development as a city has not been able to keep up with that. So we have very limited resources to try and service a large number of students. So as that economic, I was so excited to hear the city council members and mayors, we have good momentum with that. What tends to happen is on a bell curve, most of the money goes to the tails. It's taking care of those with educational struggles and then trying to make sure that those that are gifted are having some of their needs met. And sometimes that middle bell curve gets left out. So I do think it's important that we distribute the funds so that everyone is being taken care of and no one is being left out in that. But in order to do all of that well, we need to get our overall budget up so that we can fund all of those well. In terms of the IB program and the AP and some of the conflict around that, I know on a national level that I know that some people will disagree with me on this, but my niece and nephew went through the IB program up in Lee Summit, and it made a huge difference when they went to college. One got $85,000 in scholarships and the other $60,000. So in going out to some of the larger colleges, especially on the coast, it can make a huge difference. But I don't think we should do that to the detriment of other students. So we really want to be able to service all of our students well, and not take from one to give to the other.
Thank you, Kim. Joe?
Thanks, Brent. It's a tough conversation. The current board looks at it all the time. Where's the money going? You know, we on the one end, we have a lot of money we spend on, you know, special education and reading interventionists and tutors, and then you do have the IB program and AB and dual credit courses, but it's all about a balance. I mean, we have professional learning communities, and it's how you teach the kids that are struggling to learn, and what do you do with the kid that's already got it? I mean, because you have to keep teaching them, and it's about rigor and preparing those kids for the future and beyond high school, and so you have to create that balance. You know, our technology is for all students, whether they're on this end of the bell curve or on the other. So the technology is split pretty evenly. You know, 70% of our budget is personnel, so there's not a lot left to do all these other things. And so we try to keep a fair balance and try to educate everybody to do well on the assessments, and so we can get the funding. And it's a difficult balance, but I think the current board really looks at it and tries to do that. You know, athletics are important to life beyond high school too. They teach you a lot more than how to score a touchdown. I mean, there's teamwork and personal development and working out and studying the plays. I mean, it's a lot more than just scoring touchdowns and having fans cheer in the bleachers. So, but it is a balance, and I think it continually gets looked at.
Thank you, Joe. And finally, Leo.
Brent, it's my turn. Can you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. In some districts, the majority of financial resources and staff attention are dedicated to those students who are high achievers. How will you strike a balance to ensure that all learning levels receive the resources and attention they need?
Brent, good question. Actually, within RAPAC, it was inverted. We were spending a lot of time and resources on the children that were struggling. So yes, we have the focus facilitators, we have the reading interventionists, and we have systems in place to make sure if those students are not performing, we can actually provide additional resources to those kids. It's one of the reasons why we created the IB program. Yes, we have the AP program, but we created the IB to make sure that we are giving those kids that are functioning at a high level an opportunity as well. I talked to those kids. I've been to the classroom, and the smiles on their faces, they said, "This is outstanding. We love what's happening here." So that's a good thing. Our school district's mission statement is preparing each student for a successful and meaningful life. Our strategic plan has two of those components in there, that being student success, and you mentioned the fiscal responsibility. So we look at it holistically, making sure that we are preparing each student either at the top of the curve or below the curve. We want to make sure that we are giving attention to everyone to make sure that everyone is successful. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you, Leo. We got another audible, Omaha, right? So I had to say that. I thought it was pretty funny, so thanks for the laughter. But how about if we give you each 60 seconds, strict 60 seconds, and just let people know why they should cast a vote for you and not somebody else, perhaps. We'll start with Lane, and we'll work our way.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. Well, beyond, I just think, you know, beyond my concerns and my care, I have the experience. I have 7 years in a previous school district. I worked directly for the superintendent. I worked directly with the board that entire 7 years and with administration on every level. So I know the school world. I know how it works, how it's supposed to work on every single level. And so I'm ready to go out of the box, and I'm ready to help as much as I can. And being a communications professional, I am fully able and capable and experienced in developing relationships and working collaboratively with everyone in any situation. So I come forth with a genuine desire to help us move forward and address the challenges that we have now and the unforeseen challenges we're going to have in the future, so that we can continue this great district and community to go forward. Because the bottom line is we have to keep it on the target so that we get the achievement for every single student, and we keep our district on par to where it's been known to be.
Thank you, Lane Lucas. Susan.
I wanted to thank the community for being here tonight and the chamber for organizing this. While I'm on the board, I will only invest in programs that positively impact our kids and their performance and fight for their success no matter what their learning level is. We need to keep that at our forefront. The school board makes a difference in our community and in our schools. They are policymakers. We've got to stick to those policies. The students that graduate will become future leaders of our community in Raymore and in Peculiar. And with excellent schools, like I said before, will continue to grow. The board has the power to develop policies that deeply impact our community and to keep local control within that. And I'll make sure all policies are followed to what they say between teachers, staff, and administrators. And I will respectfully ask for your vote on April 5th to be able to serve the community on the Ray-Pec School Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan Edmondson. Patrick.
I'd like to thank the Chamber for hosting this event. I appreciate the people that are up here. I know we all work hard, and for the residents who are here or be watching online. I am Patrick Clark. I am running for Ray-Pec School Board. I'm an effective and proactive problem solver. I'm experienced because we have 2 daughters in the school system, and we've watched the school districts. It was a major factor for us to move here. I'm proud of what we have, proud of the city. I would like to participate with that. I will ensure common sense oversight to achieve the mission statement and goals and objectives of the district. And I ask for your vote. My name's Patrick Clark on April 5th.
Thank you, Patrick Clark. Kim.
The role of the school board is to write policy, manage the budget, oversee the superintendent, and then to advocate. As a former policy writer for the last 7 years, clearly I have tons of experience with that I can bring into that. In addition with that, as a therapist, it brings another realm to that brings policy up to date with current needs of our community. I am a good advocate. I'm very tenacious. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm like a dog on a bone. I'll be very kind. As a therapist, I know how to address things well, but I will address them head on. So I have no problems going to the state. I have no problems going to the federal and setting some boundaries to maintain local control. I'm very engaged in the school. Have been for years. So I feel like I've got a thumb on the pulse of what's going on for our families. So I love this community. I love this school district. I think we have amazing teachers. I think we have amazing administration. And I think we've got amazing parents. And if we can just pull all of that together and move forward, the sky's the limit. I feel like sky's the limit.
Thank you, Kim Bailey. Joe.
Brent, this may not surprise you, but I'm not a politician, and I'm proud to say that. I'm a parent. I'm a patron. I'm part of this community. I love this district. I've been doing this for 12 years. I have the leadership ability to be on the board. I have the experience. I want to keep Raymore community, and you heard the previous candidates for mayor say, I want to keep this community somewhere where people are moving here because of the school district and because of this great city. And that's why I want to be elected. So please vote Joe on April 5th and get out and vote. And I want to congratulate these other candidates for taking the time to be an involved patron. I think every patron in our community should get involved in some way or another, whether it's with Parks and Rec, the city, the school board. Volunteer, do whatever you can, but be part of this community.
Thank you, Joe Anthias. And Leo.
Brent, thank you very much. I come from a different perspective. We heard a lot of our candidates here that grew up and went to school here in Ray-Pec. I did not. I went to another school within the city where when I entered college, I had to take courses over again because I was not prepared. I went to a school district where literally I counted on one hand how many parents actually attended parent-teachers conference, as opposed to what we have here in Ray-Pec. We are so blessed of what we have here and why we're here. It's one of the reasons why we moved here to Ray-Pec. It's no mistake that the Ray-Pec School Board is an award-winning school board. There's no mistake. There's no mistake why we have a great superintendent that we do. I want to make sure that we continue that. I think as the past 2 years as president, board president, it's been a humbling experience. I want to make sure that I continue to listen to the teachers of this school district to make sure that their concerns and wishes are listened to. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you, Leo Anderson.
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. It was a great night, and thank you guys. Just for serving, for wanting to serve is a big deal. So I thank you personally, and I know the community does as well. Get out and vote April 5th, and we'll look forward to seeing you all around. Take care.